guys, it's Rachel from the Little Green Lamb to have a book review on Hide and Seek by Sara Shepard, the fourth book in the Lion Game series. So basically this book review is going to be broken up into two sections, the review and the discussion. The review will be spoiler free and I'll be at the beginning of this video obviously, and I'll let you know before I'm going to introduce spoilers in the video, and I'll try to remember to put a timestamp in the bottom info box so you can just, if you want to go to the discussion, or you know when to pause the video, but I will give you forewarning before because I don't want you guys to be spoiled if you have not read this book. I'm going to link my 3 previous reviews in the down bar for the first 3 books in the series, The Lion Game, Never Have I Ever, and Two Truths and a Lie. So if you haven't read this series, you can go up back to the first one, or if you're not here yet, there's other ones. So basically, this book also, if I'm looking down, I'm looking at my notebook, and I rate my books in 5 different categories: plot, characters, cover, suspense, and overall in terms of reading very soon. 5 out of 5, not so soon, 1 out of 5. So my review on this book is quite difficult sometimes because I did read those 3 books, like the 3rd, the 4th, and the 5th, all back to back. So I don't have too much to say to differentiate between them, but I do have a lot to say in the discussion. I have 2 full pages and then a little bit on a 3rd page of notes. But first we're getting into the non-spoiler section. So basically this book picks up right after the last book picked up, and this book does introduce a lot of secrets. So this book uncovers so many secrets, and the kind of suspect of the book in this book is Laurel, and Laurel is Sutton's adopted sister. And we kind of, get to know more about, because I feel like each book has a new suspect, and this one just happens to be this one, this person. But this was my least favorite book so far of the series. I'm filming this after I read the 5th book. I've not read the last book, but between all of them, this is probably the slowest one. And a lot of slow parts, so I'm giving the plot a 4. I don't want to give it a 4.5. I'm just going to give it a 4 out of 5, just because it did have a few slow parts, but we did get some really dramatic reveals. I definitely found it was patchy, though, in the slowness. I didn't find the slow parts to happen necessarily all at the beginning or the end. It was kind of all over, but definitely the end felt a little bit slow because we wanted to uncover more secrets, and you knew it was getting to the end of the book, and there's a 5th one, so you're probably not going to get that much satisfaction from those secrets. That was my only downfall, but besides that, I really enjoy it. Like, I don't really care too much, because some people were complaining on Goodreads a bit, or not complaining, maybe venting, and saying that they didn't like how each book's like a new suspect, and then obviously at the end of the book, that person isn't, a suspect anymore. And I don't mind that. Honestly, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think that it's interesting, and for me it's entertaining, and I like it that way because you kind of can explore and get into the mindset of these characters. And some stuff gets really dramatic in this. You learn a lot, and in the next book you learn even more because obviously it's getting close to the end. But really enjoyed the plot points that are interesting. It was just the slow bits. Characters, I'm giving a 4 out of 5 as well. I'm getting more used to the differentiation between Madeline and Charlotte, who are my 2 difficult characters to differentiate between. I like that we're getting more of Sutton's family and her sister, and we're learning more about them because I feel like we know them, but they're not yet 3D. They're kind of 2D, very, basic sketches. But now we're delving in more and more. Not that they were basic sketches. I feel bad about saying that, but they were not as well developed because you're still, obviously we in the book are reading as Emma as Sutton, so we don't know these characters, and that's why. But then it kind of frustrates me, but I understand why that is the way it is. But we got to learn more about the characters. I really love Emma's progression as she's taking over Sutton's life. She's making some executive decisions and acting a bit differently, and I kind of like that because you can see how Sutton would act, and we have Sutton's little things where she's like, good Emma, I really enjoy that you're doing that, and appreciating her life more after she's obviously deceased. Cover, I give a 4 out of 5 again. This cover actually a bit better. It fits in more so with the series colors, I find. And it's pink with some kind of coral color there, or neon orange, whichever you prefer. Suspense, I'm going to give the suspense a 4 out of 5 as well, just because the slow kind of bits of the book kind of go with the suspense style, because it didn't have me suspenseful when there was the slow bits, but I also want to read more. So I might make that in between 4 and 4.5, maybe. And overall I give the book a 5 out of 5. It's definitely integral to the series. It's definitely one you do not want to skip when especially reading and rereading the series. So that is my spoiler-free review of Hide and Seek by Sara Shepard. Now we're moving on to the spoiler part, so if you have not read this book, there will be spoilers, so just be forewarned. Okay, so now let's start the discussion. So I'll be mostly looking down at my notebook for this one. So So these are all my notes just to preface this, because I have read the 5th book by the point I'm filming this, and I'm going to be starting the 6th book really soon. I do know what happens in the 5th book, but these notes are distinctly about the 4th book. And let's say I'm reading a theory, I'm going to read the theory and I'm not going to say that's been disproven if it hasn't been disproven in the book further down the line. But I'm not going to say, like, for example, if I was like, blank's a killer, and then, like, let's say I've read the 6th book, I'm like, oh yeah, that's the killer. Like, I'm not going to do that. These are distinctly my thoughts and feelings on the 4th book, and even though I have read further, I'm not going to divulge anything that comes later in the series. So, Ethan is so suspicious. I find him such a suspicious character. And I said it was a slow first 20 pages. It was very slow for me. And that was coming right off the 3rd book. Like, it's not like the 3rd book where it took me like 20 pages because I hadn't read the first 2 books in such a long time. And I said the grandma and dad are so suspicious. This overall mystery must involve them somehow. I think Laurel is harmless, but that attitude is annoying. But it's because we are used to Emma's Sutton, not the actual Sutton, so Laurel's attitude is somewhat warranted. So in the book, we're made to kind of think that Laurel's being kind of annoying for no reason. But then we remember that she was used to the old Sutton, who was kind of more of a bully and mean to her, and Emma's being nice to her. So we see it and we're like, why isn't she being nice? But she doesn't know there's been a switch. She just thinks her sister's acting a little bit weird, but she's going to go back to her mean self. So I'm like, yeah, it's annoying, but like I can kind of sympathize with that. Or empathize with that. Wrong word. And I said I like Nisha in this tennis court scene in chapter 3, how she and Emma were kind of getting along more. I still, for some reason, get Madeline and Charlotte mixed up, one of my biggest problems in the series. I said, OMG, is there a rival line game group? So I forget what they're called, the Devious Four or something. So I didn't know if they were a rival. Oh, yes, they are the Devious Four. I have it written down below. I said I don't get why this Devious Four plot point is relevant, but it has led to some good scenes. Like, I don't get why that's super relevant, like why they had to have that group. And I hope it does play in the overall mystery, but right now I'm feeling like it's kind of like a Pretty Little Liars. I'm going to put my hand up, or this book, this is better, this book, and I'm going to spoil the end of Pretty Little Liars, so, like the TV show. So when I put this down, I'm done spoilers, so if you want to just mute the volume if you don't want to know. So this part kind of reminded me of Pretty Little Liars when they introduced Addison in the last season, and like we're like, what the heck, like nobody cares about this girl. And then they tried to, at the end put it like kind of like a spin-off, and like Addison's the one missing and she was the Allie character. And I'm like, are they trying to set up like this Devious Four is going to take over the line games like thing? Like it's going to be like an ending like that. So that was like my biggest theory about that. So that spoiler game for the Pretty Little Liars TV show is over. I said Sutton's flashback concerning the text Laurel sent doesn't seem menacing. It just seems like a poorly timed phrase, like, I'm going to kill you when I see you. Like, even though it's a poorly timed phrase, I don't think it seems menacing. Like, I get why Emma's threatened by it because she does not know Laurel personally, but I'm like, just a really bad turn of phrase in that time. And then my new theory was that Ethan's mom isn't stable, and what if she was the one after Sutton for hurting Ethan, and then Ethan found Emma so his mom wouldn't get in trouble. So this is my theory. So basically, after the line game kind of took away Ethan's scholarship, and we hear a lot about Ethan's mom, not a lot, but we know she's sick, and I was thinking maybe she's not stable emotionally because, Ethan's been through some hurt, and basically that the mom, saw her in Sabino Cannon, and because it's close to her house, and killed her, and Ethan found Emma so his mom wouldn't get in trouble because he is a tech whiz, and he was setting up the, the video for, to kind of frame the Devious Four, not frame them, but show what actually happened. And then I said, BSU overheard Sutton, Ethan, page 88, like, yeah. And then I said, good comeback by Ethan on page 94. I liked that. I said, Grandma Mercer's keeping secrets, and I want to know what they are. Sutton dad's having an affair, bombshell. Didn't see that coming. Well, I thought that was too obvious, for example. And then I said, honestly, between Sutton's family, her dad should seem like more of a suspect than Laurel for how he's been acting. At least Laurel has been cordial, but he's been acting really mysterious and slinking in the shadows, so he made himself out to be more of a target. So then that led me to a new theory, and the theory is that Sutton's dad is her and Emma's real dad, and that's how he knew to get Emma to take Sutton's place when she found out that Mr. Mercer killed Becky for some reason. So when I was reading at this section, this is what my belief was. I believe that Sutton, for some reason Emma was in the picture, but Sutton's dad, like it's her bio dad, and he got to take Sutton and the mom took Emma, and he and Becky were together. That's kind of what I thought, and basically she found out about Becky and like that there was another twin, and he killed her in a rage and then got the other twin to come masquerade as Sutton. And then I said, OMG, Sutton's dad ran down there. Makes sense why Mr. Mercer doesn't want Thayer communicating with the girls. That was what I thought too. Then I said Emma's dream about Becky was creepy and interesting at the same time. Then I said, who's this Raven Jannings? She has to be an already known character, right? Like, she can't just be a new girl. And, like, if the dad was having an affair, I feel like with a rando, it wouldn't be as, they wouldn't be like, oh, who is she? They'd be like, oh, that girl, like, she's horrible. Mrs. Mercer is such a nice character. That chase scene with Emma and Detective Quinlan was intense when she was running through the school after the dance. And then I thought she was going to get caught, honestly. And I said, was it Becky's face in the Polaroids when Emma Sutton went to the restaurant and Raven Jannings left behind Polaroids that looked like Becky in the photos? And then I said, OMG, OMG, Becky is Mr. Mercer's daughter and Emma and Sutton are his granddaughters. What? Raven is Becky. So I was so shocked by this because originally I thought Becky and Mr. Mercer were like lovers and like this was their kids, but they are biologically related, so I did get that right. I just didn't get the connection right. I thought he was their dad, but he's actually their grandparent. And once I knew Raven Jannings, I knew how to do something with Becky, but I didn't know that Becky was Mr. Mercer's daughter. So I said, so Mr. Mercer didn't kill Sutton. Time for a new suspect. And then I put, OMG, now Laurel is Emma / Sutton's aunt, which I find really weird because they're so close in age, but I know that happens in real life. It's just because they grew up as like sisters, and then they find out that one of them's an aunt. And then my last point is that I don't think Becky did it. I don't think Sutton saw her that night, even in Sabino canon at all. I just feel like she's too obvious of a suspect to actually... And why would she kill... Like, I know she's unstable, but I don't think she's unstable enough to kill Sutton. So yes, that is all my notes and all my thoughts on Hide and Seek by Sara Shepard, the 4th book in the Lion Game series. I want to thank you so much for watching. Let's discuss in the comments, and please remember to write spoiler in big caps before you comment if you're going to comment a spoiler, just in case people who haven't read this book are scrolling through the comments, because I don't want anybody to get spoiled unnecessarily. So, just try to do that because it's courteous to others. If not, if you forget, that's okay, but just try. And I want to thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.